Uh, I'd like to start off by saying I think Bite by Night is an amazing game, and I, as a random person on the internet, definitely didn't have to have some sort of input on it, as I'm sure anyone that's played the game can clearly see the love and effort that's been put into the game, whether that has been through the models, the animations, or the maps. I'm putting this here because I think I do end up sounding like a negative Nancy further into the video, and I'm honestly very sorry about that. It wasn't what I was going for, and all this video was really meant to be is sharing my personal opinions on the game as of now. That also brings me into what I wanted to say next. I'm pretty sure I had a warning at the start, but I wanted to emphasize it further here. Everything said in this video is my opinion. It really shouldn't be taken as fact, as everyone's got their own view on the game. Some might find it balanced, some might think it's sided toward the survivors, whilst others may think it's entirely killer-sided. My point is just don't take my opinions as like your own unless you truly really do agree with them. With that out of the way, I wanted to dedicate this video into, well, of course, just sharing my first impressions of Bite by Night. Of course, this is definitely going to be outdated by the time it's out, as I have started work on this video the day the game released. As I dedicated that entire Saturday to Bite by Night, and I haven't played it since then, as that was 12 hours of nothing but Bite by Night, and I can't even begin to tell you the headache I had right after turning off the computer and laying down. But I'm getting off topic. I wanted to also say how this video will work, and that is that I'll be splitting it up into topics I'd like to discuss, such as the balancing, the survivors, killers, and of course the maps. I would talk about the objectives, but um, I honestly don't know how to talk about them. There's nothing much to do after you've done them, and so I'm not sure. The balancing in this game it's questionable. I'm not sure how some of these moves, such as Medic's heal, giving them 50 self-heal, is anywhere near balanced, considering how fast it is. Another one being Security's Guard's power to almost always give the team full aura reading on the killer with his security cameras. To me, regardless if it sounds like right now the survivors sound broken, it all really depends on the map, which it's an insane thing to say in an ASIM, and I don't think I've ever said anything like this about an ASIM. Pizzeria, despite having an infinite, is easily countered by spring traps or bear traps. Forest is just killer side in my opinion, and Warehouse could just easily be one on mimicking spring trap if they know how to use their powers and abilities. But in my opinion, it isn't healthy at all. Having to depend on other killers shouldn't be a thing at all in any case. I personally don't like it, but I guess on the plus side, it forces variety at times. I also think that the killer's M1 is just, it's too big at times.
I can't even hear anything.
I turned up music earlier.
It feels clunky at times, but I know that's just sometimes. Sometimes it's Roblox networking, but at other times I can promise you it absolutely is the absurdly big hitbox of some of the moves they have. Now, of course, all it needs is fine-tuning, and, well, this can be said the same for everything that's far too strong right now, such as... I think that right now, the current state of the survivors are like a mix of unbalanced and balanced. I think right now, the stronger end of the stick depends on the map, meaning, at least to me, that most of the time the killers are going to be the victims instead of the survivor. I've taken far too long to get here, and I am here to talk about the survivors, what they do, and what exactly I think of them. Customer is a character that I've been sleeping on. For being a starter character, they're honestly pretty strong in the hands of someone who knows what they're doing. They have a cola that gives them 3 buffs. Speed, in which self-explanatory. Energetic, in which decreases stamina drain, and Rest, which speeds up stamina regen. They also have Pizza that heals for 20% of your current HP, in which I guess it's okay, but honestly, their cola makes up for the meh of the pizza. I honestly think this guy's the most balanced out of all of the classes, and I actually have absolutely nothing to say about them. Medic, or who I like to call the backbone of the team. This class is currently who I play the most. I find enjoyment in being the support in the team, as most of the time you're going to be the difference between the team dying or the team winning. This guy's got a self heal that recovers 50 HP, which is actually pretty insane, and team heal that heals for 35. Despite wanting the heals to stay, I honestly think they need a nerf. Maybe even a nerf to speed as well, because self-healing that fast is it's insane. That's pretty fast. When it comes to the gameplay, however, you're just gonna be doing tasks while your team deals with the killer, and your team will find you when they need you. If the killer happens to find you first, you gotta either pray you're good at looping, that the killer's dumb, or you have fighters or anyone to stun, any security guard willing to stun the killer for you. Fighter, I have no like special name for them, just fighter. We're getting into the pretty juicy stuff now. I haven't really played this guy much, as I don't really like being the stun of the team, but from what I've heard, in a way, please don't blame me for this, but I heard he sort of plays like Knuckles from Outcome Memories, but instead of charging up your stun by holding the button, you get it by using your other ability, in which also stuns the killer. But from what I learned, you'll have a number on top of your swing, and that is your charges. You will always start with one charge, in which will always stun the killer if used, like with that one single charge. The more charges you have in your swing ability, the more debuffs your swing will add to the killer if landed. The maximum charges of that stun being 3. What they do, for example, is 1, it will just simply stun the killer. 2 charges will stun and apply blindness to the killer. And 3 charges will stun and confuse the killer. Confusion, according to the wiki, inverts your controls, in which is actually very helpful if ever in a sticky situation. I really don't think there's any way to put this lightly. I think that this class is probably the killer's worst nightmare, if not immediately tunneled out. This guy has to be the strongest class in the game, hands down, as not only they can give the killer's location constantly, it's literally infinite, and the battery is literally just an illusion. As the cooldown is so short after running out, you can just pull it back up, and for some reason, it automatically puts it to the camera the killer's nearest to, and if the killer's there, it's infinite killer aura. An easy nerf I could think of for this guy is making it so there's some sort of check to see if there's enough battery to mark the killer's aura. If not, it just simply doesn't work. For a support, they do, of course, do their job. And the taser only adds what would have been good into amazing. I really do feel like this guy could have been great with the camera's aura giving alone. But adding the taser, in which could help anyone being tunneled by the killer from a range, this guy could clearly waste an enormous amount of time if handled properly. The killers, or animatronics, whatever works for you. These guys are good, don't get me wrong, but really it all comes down to the map that's played. What do I mean by this? Well, some examples I can give is Springtrap on Warehouse. I feel like the map is more so a 50-50 in this regard, such as if you're good with your traps and the placement, you can win pretty easily. If you aren't though, you'll end up just wasting a ton of time on like each survivor, and before you know it, everything is gonna be done and it's 5 a.m. You've just lost. It's nothing much you can do about that. The next example I can give is Entered on Forced. It just doesn't work. You're gonna end up wasting so much time. Not only that, I feel like this didn't make any changes to Forced to compensate for Entered at all, because the map is just so open. I mean, sure, it's a forest, and like you can't really make a forest not open, but yeah, I don't really know what I was going with it. Anyone smart, knowing for a fact they're gonna die, is just gonna go do it out in the open, in the big area of the map. That being like where there's like a satellite, and there's like a loop in the middle of it. I don't know, but you know what I mean. They're just gonna die in the middle of it, or like anywhere where their team can see. So Ennard can't really get the surprise factor in his disguise. Speaking of Ennard, another thing on why he's the weakest killer, everyone would just be paranoid of everything as Survivor, because you don't know who's dead or alive due to his passive. I think Ennard is in need of some good buffs if they want to keep him viable, because right now they're just weak. I don't have a lot to say about this killer other than how weak they are. I mean, sure, they have eye spiders that like block off certain maps, but the AI is just so bad at times. You can literally just run over them and they just forget to latch onto you. I would say what I think are good buffs, such as exploding right after stabbing someone whilst disguised to get more damage, and a big cooldown to the M1 as soon as this happens, like the ice swap M1 cooldown for Mimic. But I don't know. I'm not the balancer, and if I were, I definitely just make it worse than it currently is. Spring Trap is a pretty good killer. Their traps disappear after a while, in which I'm not really sure why, but at least on the bright side, they can't be disarmed. Meaning you can set up dead zones for a ton of damage and potentially for easy kills from anyone trying to camp in any sort of loop spot. They can throw their axe, in which unlocks Scream as an ability, and after you scream, you blind the survivors, in which the severity depends on the distance the survivor is to you. It also gives you every survivor's aura, in which I find myself using a lot in a very unintentional way. What I mean is, since the cooldown is so short, I throw my axe to a nearby wall so I can pick it up, but I don't pick it up just yet. I wait that small little cooldown, and you scream to see where everyone is. I know I'm definitely not the first using this tactic, but for anyone that didn't know you could do this, now you do. Back on topic on the scream, if the survivor is too close to you when you scream, it causes it to be very hard to see for the said survivor for a very short amount of time. And being at a bit of distance still causes difficulty, but it's much more manageable. After Springtrap screams, he unlocks another ability called Charge, which he can charge at any survivor, which is faster than running, but it drains stamina pretty fast. If you manage to land said charge, it does some damage alongside a pretty cool animation, then throwing them off to the side, which stuns them long enough to let you M1 them on the floor. I think Springtrap is in a pretty good spot, and like customer, I don't have much to say about them. I think they're the most balanced when it comes to killer, which I like a lot. Mimic. I think Mimic out of the three is probably my favorite and the strongest. I like the idea of switching modes and having to be smart with it, such as the blue eyes to catch up, orange eyes to damage, and the colorless eyes to be stealthy or like just all around good. They work on every map. But anyways, what do I mean when I say you have to be smart about it? If you aren't smart with Mimic, you're punished. And I mean like heavily, which I like a lot. For example, if you try to M1 with your blue eyes, sure you can kill if they're low, but most of the time you're just wasting more time than you would with any other eye ability, as your M1 in blue eyes is extremely weak. If you try and purely use the damage, you'll find yourself almost never catching up to the survivor. And the stealth, well, it's honestly just like all around good mode as stated before. So I mean, I guess there's that for people who don't really want to be smart with abilities. Something I meant to mention is the alternative moves the eyes have. Like having a blue leap that ragdolls and stuns the survivor alongside some damage, and stealthy personally being my favorite with two awesome moves. One being you grabbing them and having the ability to throw at either somewhere you know you can capitalize off of, like say a edge map, or if possible, throwing them at another survivor to deal damage to more than one person. The second move being you burrowing underground and being able to pop out from under a survivor, resulting in them being stunned, and at times you being able to land an M1 whilst they're on the floor. The maps. The final topic I wanted to try and talk about. I know there's probably a lot to say about the maps for some, but for me, I simply just don't. There's currently 3 maps in the game as of release, that being the Pizzeria, Warehouse, and Forest, all in which visually look good, but other than that, I honestly have nothing interesting to say about them. Nor do I have much to say about them. 2 out of 3 of the current maps have infinites or god loops that even if the killer has a brain, most of the time, depending on if you're an idiot or not with your stamina, you can easily abuse the crap out of. An example I can give is the play place in the Pizzeria and the large circle loop in Warehouse. Forest, on the other hand, is the killer's playground, having many dead zones. I think the maps only need minor tweaking to get rid of the infinites or god loops, depending on how you say it. But then, I didn't make the maps, and I'm sure they have something better in store than my horrible ideas. So, yeah, I don't know nothing about mapping. With that comes the end of this video. This video has it's gone through a lot of procrastinating and also a lot of changing because I really wasn't ever happy with the result. I still am not. would have changed a lot about this video, but if I were to fix everything about this that I hate, it would just keep going on and on and on and on. And I think this needs to come out before the next content update comes out. Eventually I will make an actual video instead of whatever this was, because I myself am not even sure if it was what I hoped for it to be. I mean, I hope it was. I don't even know. This video, as said, was purely made because I was bored. But hey, maybe if enough people say, like, I don't know, 2 views, I'll definitely make more videos. Play Bite by Night. The link is gonna be in the description, or you could just go to Roblox, search up Bite by Night if you don't trust links. Um, it's a good game. Oh my god!